with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing and let us take this time and reflect upon Officer or Detective First Grade Brian Mulqueen, who was tragically killed in the city last week. And think about the sacrifices that our men and women in blue take every day here in this village, here in this state, here across the nation. Thank you. You have a seat. Welcome to the Village Board meeting. Today is Monday, October 7th. Next upcoming meeting, we have a workshop meeting for the Board of Trustees, Tuesday, October 29th. Is that correct? I just want to check my calendar. And the next regular board meeting is Wednesday, November 6th. Please note the change. Wednesday, November 6th. Is that right? That's right. Okay. All right. So at this time, I'm going to change the agenda, and I'm going to ask Chief Osborne to speak about the police department.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. The first thing I'd like to say is we'd like to present a check to the village tonight. And just to give a quick background on it, I had a conversation with my daughter. My daughter was up at college. She goes up to school up on the Canadian border. And we were talking last year after 9/11 about the fact that no one at her college even mentioned 9/11. No one talked about it. Professors, students, and even locally, we just were concerned that people may forget the significance of what it meant to our nation and what it meant really to our village and our area. So with that, we decided to do something to maybe enhance the village's 9/11 memorial, to work to give some money back to the village, to do something to make sure that we don't forget 9/11 and to keep it fresh in people's minds. So I approached the mayor. I spoke to a couple of officers. Thought it was a great idea. I met with the mayor, explained the idea. We decided to sell these T-shirts right here, which is one of them. We put our stuff in packing for towers, and the back we got multicolored logo with the police department, City of New York, fire department, and Port Authority tags. We sold in over abundance of these throughout Suffern, throughout the region. So much so that, Mayor, if you could come down, I'd like to present a check to you, that we are proud to present the village with the check to enhance this memorial, to put a lot of different things at this memorial that will make it last forever. And I'll be honest with you, this went a lot better than I expected in many of this. So, Mayor, I'd like to present the village with a check. Amy, thank you for this, by the way. Presentation check. The check will be for $11,223.25, which is a lot of shirts for village residents they bought some. Wow. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board, for accepting this gift. It may take a long time, and may 9/11 never be forgotten in village. Thank you. There we have the actual check right here for you. So I think that money's going to do a lot. I think you should put a whole new memorial out there for this. And the check is in there from Suffern Police Department, Suffern, their program. We raised the money for you, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
So let me just say a couple of words. The dedication that is shown here for the Village of Suffern Police Department is tremendous. The outpouring of support from the village residents and far across the state of New York to purchase and remember the 9/11 memorial here that was initiated right after 9/11 and then enhanced by one of our local Boy Scouts when he was doing his Eagle Scout project. And now this is further going to enhance it with a nice American flag, with uplighting and any additional monuments or remembrances that we can give to the Village of Suffern, that we will always remember 9/11, one of the biggest events that took place here in the United States. So we thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. I appreciate you letting us do this. Thank you.
Wow, that's great.
Even more than this.
Look at the treasurer is smiling.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Mayor, is it okay if I go through the rest of the quick agenda? I got very little. Thank you so much, and we were honored to do it. You know, we care about this village. We want to make sure that the memorials we do have stay strong into the future, and I think this is a good way to memorialize all the victims of that day, several which lived here in the Village of Suffern. Just real quickly, in the month of September, we had 735 police calls and blotters. Next week, we'll be going through New York State reaccreditation. We have been an accredited police department since 2009. We re-accredited 2014. So next week, there will be 3 accreditors for 3 days, working around the clock, doing ride-alongs with officers, going through our policies, coming in and asking for evidence from 5 years back, and we're going to have to bring it out immediately. So it's a very stringent process and a very strict process that Lieutenant Loughlin's handling. But we'll be ready for next week, so you'll see some people driving around as ride-alongs, asking officers about policies, asking about different parts of our department, knowledge of the job and the procedures we have. Only 20% of the police departments in the state are accredited, us being one of them. It is a lot of work, but I feel it's worth it because it keeps our policies up. I know I spoke to Ralph in your office over there, the importance of having the policies updated and staying reaccredited. So that'll be next week. Community end, we did a bike rodeo with Kathy, helped us out with Connor School, Suffern Day, street fair. We've done a lot of community work. Obviously, we're still out there every day patrolling the streets, making our arrests, writing our summonses. These are some extra things we did. So I just thank the board again for the support. I'm going to be here for the rest of the meeting if needed. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Chief. I have here the resolution accepting a donation from the Suffern Police Department and the DARE program to the Village of Suffern for the maintenance and repair of the September 11th memorial in the amount of $11,223.25. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Alpert. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Trustee Hertzman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Okay, thank
That's
you,
a
Mayor.
great resolution.
And just another resolution, I forgot about, we got the other one we just
Yeah,
added
that's
on.
another resolution there.
The next action, I apologize, there's 2 more things.
Go ahead.
We added on at the end. One resolution is I spoke to the board, the workshop in regards to a part-time dispatch opening, and we're going to ask the board to authorize the nomination of Vic Wolf as a part-time police dispatcher pending Rockland County Department of Personnel clearance.
So I have the resolution authorizing the nominating certification of Vic Wolf as dispatcher part-time. Resolved, the Board of Trustees certifies the nomination of Vic Wolf to the position of dispatcher part-time. Be it further resolved, the nomination of Vic Wolf is pending final certification of qualifications by Rockland County personnel, as well as confirmation by the treasurer that funds for this position are available in the 2019-2020 adopted budget. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Hagen, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Hertzman, do I have any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Board, thank you. One of the items I'd like to discuss with the board, we have two part-time parking authority positions available. One filled, one was vacated. I'd like to talk to the board about possibly 1 or 2 things. Another part-timer, or making 1 full-time position, just exploring some options we have. Parking enforcement is critical. Parking is critical in the downtown. With the amount of people that use our lots and use our downtown, it has increased tremendously, and we need to stay on top of it as a village. So I'm asking maybe if I could set up a meeting with the mayor, Amy, Mike, just to discuss some possibilities and options. Anybody else would like to talk about it, just to see which way the village board would like to go with this.
Yeah, I've been encountering many concerns from merchants in regards to parking and the ability to have an enforcement aide out there instead of having the parking abused by local merchants or whoever is abusing them, staying over the 2-hour limit. And when we only have 1 parking enforcement aide, that works part-time, 4 hours per day, does not really cut it. So we need to further that discussion. It looks like we need a one full-time position. So we would have to look at the budget and look at the possibilities of doing that.
Absolutely. If you would mind, if I could set up a meeting with all of you just to discuss the options, maybe as I researched it and some different things we can do.
Okay.
I would love to do that. I think the time is necessary, particularly with all the amount of buildings that are now. It seems to be an overabundance, and I want to make sure we can control it.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, we'll set a meeting up.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you again, and thank you and the department for the Suffern Day, the street fair, the bike rodeo. It's nonstop. I mean, there's always something going on with the Suffern Police Department, so we thank you for that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Great job.
Thank you, board.
Chief Lepore.
Good evening. I only have one item tonight. It's to accept Brian Dorsey, an over 18 member for the hose company.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept Brian Dorsey as an over 18 member to the hose company?
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Hagen. Second?
Second.
Trustee Alpert, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Great job, man. Your recruitment drive is good. Like, you're bringing in a new body every month, at least one,
We
right?
try. We could use them all because, you know, there's a turnover, so we got to keep them coming.
So where's the balance? Is it in the hook and ladder, or is it in the hose company?
It's pretty even right now.
It's even?
It's pretty,
All right.
it's pretty close.
Good.
When you recruit someone, how do you decide where they're going to be, where they're going to...
It's up to them where they join. You know, the person has to decide that, so.
Got it.
Great job.
Good. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Mills, Culture and Recreation.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Village Board. A few things that we have coming up. Yoga for Beginners starts in the Community Center tonight. It will be all Mondays in October, except for Columbus Day, and then into November 4th at 6:30 over at the center. Walking Wednesdays, the self-guided tours are on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. It's around the Village Loop. The first dare dance of the season with Chief Osborne, October 11th, which is this Friday, 7 to 9 in the Community Center. This Saturday, October 12th, is the Halloween window painting. This is for middle schoolers in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to paint the windows on the village shops. We're working with the Chamber of Commerce for this. We've got a great amount of kids that have signed up already. The Repair Cafe, this is something we've been talking about for a while. It's a Rockland County program, and as I said before, they have picked the Village of Suffern as the Ramapo representative. So this is open up to everybody. It's a great event. People can bring in items to fix, and it's one of those initiatives, instead of throwing something away, try to refix it and reuse it. So we're excited about that. That will be 10 to 2 on October 20th at the center. The Halloween parade is Sunday, October 27th at on Lafayette Avenue, and then at the gazebo at 2 p.m. And then Not Just Batteries Saturday. I know Bruce Simon has talked about it in the past. That will be Saturday, November 2nd, here at Village Hall, and we have a lot of volunteers. I know CSEA is volunteering their time in the afternoon, and it's going to be a great day for the community. We'll start to get more word out about that. The Wise Beginnings will be holding a craft show over at the Community Center on Sunday, November 3rd, at the Community Center, starting at 11. Tootsie on Broadway. I don't know if the workshop it was sold out or not, but Tootsie is sold out. We have sold all our tickets, so we're excited for that. And that will be Saturday, November 23rd. The Christmas parade coming up Saturday, December 7th at 6:30 p.m. Pearl Harbor ceremony is Sunday, December 8th at 2 p.m. So a lot of good things coming up. We're looking forward to fall and winter events. And that is it.
Okay, sounds good. I think you covered it all. Thank you for everything for the at the street, at Suffern Day.
Yes, it was
And the
wonderful.
bike rodeo, I was there, it was nice. All the helmets, how many helmets were donated?
135 helmets were donated from
Did we
Westchester Medical.
donate all 135, or did we have any?
No, I think they have some left over,
We
which
do.
they said will be good for future events and
Right.
future things. So it was a great collaboration working with Good Sam on that, and the kids really benefited. So it was a good day.
Yeah,
was
it
a lot
sure
of fun.
was.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And then the other thing I have on my agenda is the resolution. I know it's passed, it's for the Legion fireworks for Suffern Day.
Oh, do we have that? There you go. So I have the resolution authorizing Legion Fireworks, Inc. to display fireworks for Suffern Day, held September 21st, 2019, Dunk Pro Tunk. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion Trustee Alpert, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Hagen, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Kathy, before you step away, we had discussed during the last workshop, we have a lot of fall and winter events coming up about making sure that the public's aware and updating our Facebook page,
Yes.
the Village of Suffern. It hasn't been done yet.
We've been trying to update events as Nancy, who is in our department, has time, so we do keep the events that are coming up. We have updated some of the events
There's nothing on the calendar
on the calendar.
of events.
We do posts. We've been doing posts. She's not necessarily doing events.
Well, like, for example, the Halloween window painting is next week, but it's not out there on the Facebook page for the Village of Suffern.
Right. We don't necessarily promote that one everywhere because it is only open to middle school students and Sacred Heart students. We have found that if we try to get it out there too far, it causes confusion to different
All right,
schools.
well, that's fine, but the Yoga for Beginners classes, the Walking Wednesdays,
Those have been up.
Halloween Parade, none of those events are upcoming events for the Village of Suffern. They really should be.
Okay.
Maybe we could create events pages.
We can do that. Again, we've been doing posts, but we can do...
You have an events page. You
Right.
just have to load it onto the events so that if a family is looking to see what might be going on in the village, they click on the events page and they see the upcoming
Yes.
All of the
things that are
events.
available. So we could get that done?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Department of Public Works, Mr. Zawicki.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to provide an update on some projects that are either currently underway or will be starting shortly. All the fire hydrants have been flushed throughout the village, and that was done last week. The 2019 right-of-way improvement project is currently underway with a completion on or about October 18th. That's the Lancaster curb work and ADA ramps on Foxwood. Milling of the roadways will commence during the week of October 4th. They're on or about the week of October 14th, 2019, with roadway resurfacing to commence the week of on or about October 21st.
So are we going to have, we're going to notify the areas, make sure that we send out the notifications that the curbs are being done, and then the milling to use caution while,
Yes, we
Driving
have
on the road.
already sent out a notice regarding the curb work.
Right.
We sent out last week. Yeah, we will be ahead of those projects.
Okay.
Send out notices. The Wayne Avenue Sidewalk Project is awaiting a New York State DOT permit. Should have a status update by Wednesday of this week.
Wednesday of this week?
Yes.
Wednesday coming up, okay. So they're gonna get back to us with the permit for the road opening, or?
I've been calling them back and forth, and we are hopeful that as a result of this meeting, we'll have certainly a better idea when the permit will be in hand, or possibly maybe even get the permit this week.
Do we think there's a holdup?
No, it's just, it's the process with dealing with the DOT. They want certain things, and we've been providing them, and again, I think it's just a matter of now following up with them.
Okay.
And we're hopeful that we'll have that permit shortly.
Okay.
The sanitary sewer survey has work that we had a requirement for the Solid Waste Authority. We had 3 phases of work that needed to be completed. We have completed, as the board knows, we completed phase 1 and now have completed phase 2. The survey of all the residents in the area, or the business owners, really not all the residents, but business owners in the area, we've gotten about 35% back, which is, you know, a little bit on the low side. So we're contemplating sending out a 3rd notice, and I was going to have some discussion with Rob Magrino on what other maybe there might be, if there's any possible penalties for not submitting the survey. So we're going to have to look into that.
Okay. Okay.
And I believe that's it. Any questions?
No, I'm good. Anybody from the board? Thank you. Mr. Fred Rella.
Good evening, board. I'm very happy to say we were, at the last meeting, we were expecting a check for $250,000 for the heavy-duty truck grant, and we did receive that.
Good.
So DASNY did do that. So once again, thank you to Michael, Charles, Joe Hunt, and Amy, who all helped in making that happen. So that's very good. Ellen Jaffe's office. She's been very good to, Assemblywoman Ellen Jaffe, she's been very good to the community here, helped us in being awarded grants over the years, and her chief of staff, Rose Leander, who we've worked with for years, and I've had a very good relationship with in trying to get things accomplished. She has left, and now she has a new chief of staff named Rabia Nagin, and so I'm working with her right now, and we're working on the potential to get a garbage truck grant, which I mentioned at the last meeting, and those are quite expensive as well, in the neighborhood of $250,000 as well. One final thing I'd like to talk to you about, and it really has to do with the tree committee and potentially grants, and it has to do with Squires Gate. And Amy has written an email to myself and some other members on the tree committee saying, you know, as we tear down these homes, we're left with these vacant lots, which need to be forever green, okay? But we need to decide what to do with them. Are we just going to keep them grass? Are we going to plant trees? Forever green means you can also put a path in, you can put some benches, okay? And we can do a blend of it. You know, it doesn't all have to be the same cookie punch between each vacant lot. So I think what we need to do is have a meeting with the board to get what their vision is, such that we can move forward in determining, you know, what type of trees, what type of grasses, if we want to have tall grass. I do know in another community, we had a large open field and we planted tall grasses. Now all of a sudden we got a deer tick problem. So you got to be careful what you do as well. So
a lot of people from the community have been coming up and saying, you know, tree farm, a sunflower farm.
Yeah.
What was the other? Community garden.
Cherry tree garden.
Cherry tree garden. There's so many different things, but that is a great idea to sit down and we'll discuss it and see what maybe what other communities have done.
Right. One thing to keep in mind is, for example, these are actual people's homes. So you might have a home on one side, on the right side, a home on the left side, and the vacant lot where a home once stood. I don't know if I was the homeowner, if I would want the community garden right next to my house. So we need to also figure these things out and discuss.
Sure, depending on the location, some of them, there's probably 6 lots in a row that are open.
Yeah.
You know, so, sure, let's set something up and we'll put it together.
How many lots altogether are affected by this? Roughly?
Yeah, he wanted to talk
Ballpark,
to me.
anyway.
Ballpark, how many lots would you say? There's about 20, 25 lots? 20 lots?
30.
30?
I think 30 lots.
I drove in there on Saturday. There's actually one back cul-de-sac where pretty much the whole cul-de-sac is gone.
Right.
I thought that might be a nice place for a community garden. And then there's a couple of swaths where it's about 3-4 houses in between. Like, they could also use some additional parking because there's still a lot of cars on the street.
Yeah.
I think you could use some of the lots for parking lots also.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'd have to definitively check with the attorney.
And we don't have, they didn't transfer the title to us yet.
Right.
So once we receive the title and the transfer, then we can explore all those. We'll explore them now in anticipation of getting title, receiving title.
Are we concerned also, being sort of a flood zone, that basically people's homes were destroyed that were there, we wouldn't want to necessarily put something that could get destroyed in another flood?
You can't. There's restrictions on it. You could use it for open space, green space,
I'm just saying,
playgrounds.
I'm saying exactly, you mentioned, let's say, a playground. You wouldn't necessarily, you might, but you wouldn't necessarily want to put a playground if it's going to get destroyed.
Right.
That's all I'm pointing out.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it would, and I'm not saying that's a bad use. We have to think about that. Is all I'm
Absolutely.
saying. That's all.
Okay.
Are you available tomorrow?
I'm at Village Hall tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
I have a meeting here at 2:30, from 2:30 to 3:30, so I can be here before or a little after.
All right. That will be good. We'll meet tomorrow. We'll just follow up a little bit.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Fred. Mr. Janito.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. We have a few resolutions here. One of them is to amend the general fund budget for per capita state aid. The state budget no longer included per capita state aid in the amount of $10,320 that we had received in previous years. And you probably heard the news that the governor has told the county legislatures and executives, including ours, that the new sales tax that's being collected on internet sales, they can take the money out of that, the county, and pay the per capita state aid. Now, we don't know where that's going to go as of now, so we'd like to just amend the current budget to take that out of the budget, and that's what this resolution does.
Okay, so I have the resolution amending the 2019-2020 budget for per capita state aid in the amount of $10,320. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Hertzman, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Hagen, any further discussion?
If this aid becomes available again, would we modify this again, or would we?
Yeah, we can modify the budget again, but we wouldn't necessarily have to. You can always take more money in than you budget, but what we can't do is plan to have money there that we don't believe is actually going to come.
Understood.
Okay. The next resolution...
I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
The next resolution is a very old capital project from 2005 that didn't close out completely. $1,138 is needed to close it. And this resolution transfers $1,138 from the general fund to the capital projects fund to close this project.
I have a resolution amending the capital project of 2005-007, the amount of $1,138. I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Hagen, second.
Second.
Trustee Hertzman, any further discussion?
So I'm just curious about this project. So it was from 2005 to 2005. this money has basically been owed since then, or the work is not completed until now?
No, the work was all completed, but what happened was the budget, it ran over. It's a $180,000 project that ran over by $1,185, and the board never adopted a resolution to authorize the additional money.
But it was
And
paid
that's-
for at the time, so this money
It was paid for at the time, yeah.
It's just sort of been in arrears then, since then, is kind of what
Yes.
you're saying? Okay.
Yes.
I'm just trying to understand what we're dealing with.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Okay, the next one is kind of the opposite end of an old project. This project was from 2015, and what it was is the refurbishment of a well number 3 down at our water treatment plant. That work, according to the chief operator of the water plant, was to enhance the well pump itself to allow it to pump better water. As you know, we had a situation of chlorides infiltrating our water wells. As it turned out, even though that project was approved and the money had been borrowed on a short-term note to pay for it, the situation got so bad with the chlorides that even the new work on a pump wouldn't make the difference. So the $15,000 was never spent. The general fund paid off, or the water fund paid off that note years ago. And what we're asking is that we take that $15,000, close the project, and transfer the money back to the water fund that paid for it. And then the money can be used from the water fund for any capital improvement.
Okay, so I have the resolution amending capital project of 2015-002 in the amount of $15,000. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Hagen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Hertzman, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, and the last resolution is authorizing Maria Duffy and Lynn Bryant. Lynn Bryant's with the clerk's office but does payroll, to attend a New York State and local retirement system seminar October 30th. It's a one-day event in Pomona, New York. And there's no cost to the village for registration. So the only cost would be the mileage of a personal car if they use their personal car. And we're asking permission for the two of them to attend that session.
Okay, I have the resolution authorizing Maria Duffy and Lynn Bryant to attend the New York State and Local Retirement System Seminar October 30th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Alpert, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Janito. This time, I would like to open up the floor to audience participation. If there is anyone here from the audience that would like to speak, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address.
My name is Helene Collins, 13 Riverside Drive. We come in tandem.
My name is Erica Dyer, 14 Riverside Drive.
So we're here because it was suggested that we come, we've tried to voice some concerns that we have, I guess, about the life of the Village of Suffern before 6 a.m. So for some of you who know us, we're the dog walkers in the morning. We leave Riverside Drive by about 5:30. We come down to the village, and we've seen a lot of things. This has been for about 12 years that we've been
We've been
walking
actually
together.
doing about 20 years now. We've been walking, and we've had other dogs. We've had a few dogs, but and in walking down, the town has progressed, not maybe in the way that we would like it to be. We've found people sleeping under bushes. We have found people sleeping in front of the bank in the bushes. We have...
In the gazebo.
In the gazebo, shirtless. I mean, there's been...
Carrying a TV. You know, there's a very unusual life that takes place, you know, as I'm sure...
Prior to the sun coming up.
You know, Osborne could tell you. People who are walking because they don't have a place to be. But I guess for us, we've had an outlet. We stop by, you know, on the way back. We've been really advised to do that. You know, if you see something, say something. and we've come by the police station in the morning, we speak to the dispatcher, we pick up flags that fall from the poles.
The light poles, yeah.
You know, and rather than them being on the ground or hanging on a fence, we'll return those and they go and they're returned to Joe. What's happened in the last 6 months to the last year is really, you know, it's upsetting when you're walking and you see the downfall of the village, the filth that's there, people's disregard for the community, the chicken bones that are on the sidewalks, the vomit, you know, and that, you know, it's disgusting, but numbers of time, you know, that's taking place there.
Which prohibits us from even using the sidewalks because there's just so much vomit on the sidewalk, you cannot pass.
Where is this? Is this a location that's...
It's not in one specific location.
We typically walk on the side of the street where Crumbs was, and it can be anywhere from where the bakery was, all the way down to the end to Janina's. You know, we make our loop down there. Within the last 2 weeks,
within the last week, actually, it's been really bad. And what we did is, and thank God there are gentlemen like Joe Hunt and the other gentlemen with the DPW that are there to pick up just the garbage that's about. You know, because we said to Joe, like, we can't even walk down the street. I'm afraid I'm going to get ill from seeing all the vomit on the streets. And, you know, so Joe says, you know, go to the police department. So we go to the police department, and
there's a trail. You know, Joe will go and he and his crew will clean that up. But just so that somebody knows that it's happening there, and whether that be, you know, if the next step is that there need to be cameras that are installed so that there's another record of what's going on. You know, we're not ready to give up on the village yet.
Right.
Really not. I think that's been my theme in us thinking about this. And it's upsetting, you know, when we walk in the morning and that's our place before the world begins for everybody. And to have your dear friend say, I've got to leave, I want out. I can't take this anymore.
And actually, Monday when we got done with our walk, I actually called your office, Mayor, to please speak with you. And the vomit was still there Tuesday morning, so we called again, and then actually on Thursday I spoke with Kathy, and we had a great, Amy. Sorry, Amy.
Yes.
I had a great discussion about, you know, that someone was going to follow up on this, and someone was going to start taking care of this, because it's the garbage there, but it's also the garbage at the bus stops. Where there are bus stops, there are no refuse containers.
Containers, right.
In front of Sacred Heart, people just throw the garbage there. In front of that little bench, in front of that hair salon, they throw the garbage there. Well, like Helene was saying, when we got back from our walk on Thursday morning, after we found more vomit in another spot, I was to the point where I need to get out of this town. Thank God Amy called, because I went home and told my husband, I'm like, we have to move. I mean, how can a town, a gorgeous town like Suffern, be let go to have all of this keep happening?
Well, I mean, I'm not making excuses for vomit or garbage or whatever goes on, but I know that we have a code enforcement team that does go out, that does issue violations to merchants and homeowners for property maintenance issues. I know that we have the DPW staff that goes around and picks up the garbage and empties the containers and sweeps the streets. So, I mean, I'm glad that you're bringing this to our attention so we can focus more on it and to see what is actually happening before 6 a.m.
Well, the merchants actually need to get out there and clean their sidewalks.
Exactly.
The gum, the
right.
cigarette butts.
You've spoken about that, Mayor, you know, investigating to see what the cost would be to, you know, remove that, and, you know, and whether it's cost prohibitive or not, it's very expensive.
To remove all the gum from the sidewalks.
When you walk around the corner to where the Sheldon is, and there are new sidewalks
Yes.
that are there, you know, and the difference is you hope that it's not going to be what it is, and again, it's well-traveled. But that's what you want. That you want your village to be well-traveled. You want the businesses to be thriving. I think it was shocking for us because it was, okay, what do we do now? Like, do we call the Chamber of Commerce and say, do people not see this? Should there be spigots like there are in New York City to come out and businesses be responsible for washing down their sidewalks?
They are responsible for the cleanliness and the, if there's any trash there. But it is a good idea to contact, and I will do that, contact the Chamber of Commerce to see if they can have some type of outreach and discuss it with the merchants that are part of the chamber to wash. I come from the city where they used to wash. They used to come out with a hose and wash everything down and scrub it down.
Yep.
Listen, we feel we truly love the Village of Suffern. We feel that, and again, we've been encouraged in all kinds of ways to, if you see something, say something, and not to be those two, the dog walking ladies who, here they are again. But to be able to say, do these people belong here? We felt horrible when the man was found. We walk by there every day. How do we not hear him? How did the man who fell off the bridge and was found
in the river?
How did we not hear that? Because, you kind of keep an eye. These people are here all the time. This person doesn't belong here. That person is up, is asleep. Is he dead? Is he alive? He's asleep here. We'll call the police.
When we find them, right. It's
one of the things that we talked about, which was a good first step, the mayor had the code enforcement team go door to door for each merchant. Remember we talked about this? And it was a very friendly letter saying, we just want you to be aware, these are our requirements, and they did go door to door. So, by you saying these things, it makes us realize we're going to go back again, because we know who they are, and, it's the next level letter. It's the next level discussion. And Clark, I think you have a little bit of feedback too, and also maybe you could speak to the camera systems.
Yeah, I spoke to the ladies a couple times on the street. I walk, they walk, we run into each other. One of the things, and just to give you back on this Friday, we did find a person throwing up. I just read reports this morning down by on Orange Avenue. We treat it as a medical. The problem is we really can't. They saw him, they stopped, took him, hell, we got an ambulance because he was intoxicated. So criminally, there's not much we can do. Or can we be present? Of course. But it is a very transient area. People walking through late at night, and I agree with you. We talk about cameras, and you mentioned it. I'm a big proponent, I've always been a big proponent of the cameras, just to keep an eye on what's going on. If there's an officer sitting in Washington, Lafayette, someone throwing up in Chestnut, we're just not going to see it. And most people aren't going to call us in the middle of the night. I mean, they probably wouldn't call for that. So it is a tough scenario, but cameras will probably lead us in that direction. And our dispatch area, we can watch them at night and focus in the downtown.
So maybe even at the same time, like on the midnight patrol, or when the officers are up and down Lafayette Avenue, if they observe any type of property maintenance issues, be it vomit, debris, that we can make the notification to the building department, to the code enforcement, and then we can act on it. This is information that we need to know.
Yeah, I mean, the resident problem, we probably wouldn't see it unless we're out in certain streets going on a call, and you probably wouldn't notice it. But I will let them know. I'll come in and tell them no problem.
Again, we see, we'll stop. There's typically an officer who's at the firehouse in the morning at that time on patrol and waiting and watching. We laugh because we told you about it. We had a guy who's named, he was 557. He flew through every stoplight into the train, knew exactly where he was. We were able to say, if you go to that bank, you're going to get it. And sure enough, they caught him. The creatures of habit in those people, but because he was, not because we're looking to do that, but because this guy's going to kill somebody. That's really what that was, because it was blown through red lights, and it was...
He was passing double lines. He was passing people coming down the hills. He had no regard for any law at all.
But whatever can assist, the enforcement, as Clark said, you can't be in every place at every time. But, and for the businesses and for the responsibility of, as we have, we've got Moira ones, we sweep up the street after we do that, and if we're holding everyone to a higher standard, and for what, if we don't, then it's very easy for people to say, what, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to live here, it's disgusting. This was a great place. It is a great place, but, you know, it's changing, and, you know, we need to continue to have pride in the village.
Okay, we're gonna follow up with that in regards to, with the chamber, with code enforcement, and as we just did with the police department.
Come at 11 o'clock, I'll take care of that.
Thank you.
I'll take care of it.
We talked to, I mean, that's just it. We talked to the guys, and the guys, the officers are very offering to help, and they've been awesome. But again, I mean, Joe and Larry and all the guys.
Closing the circles there, is just that people want to do the right thing, but not close the circle.
We have a representative here from the building department, Joe here, but can...
When you come across it, obviously the building department and code doesn't work at those hours. When you come across it before you leave tonight, I'll give you our email address. And I don't mean that it is your job, but if you'd like, you can take photos of it, email them to us. I'll be more than happy to write the violation the next day, and we can take it from there. If they continue to do it, we'll take them to court.
Thank you.
I have a question. I mean, I realize obviously the building owner, the proprietors.
I think Trustee Alpert has a question.
I realize the proprietors and whatnot are responsible for the area in front of their storefronts and whatnot, but hypothetically, let's say a store closes, I'm just going to pick a time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever, and this vomit happens at 2 in the morning, okay? It's a horrible thing. This is the first I'm hearing of it, for sure. But, you know, let's say they clean it first thing in the morning. I mean, if they get cited on the overnight, I mean, how can they be expected to be there to...
That they clean it as soon as
But I guess where I'm getting at is I would like to see some way, and it's not for you so much, but, you know, maybe for Chief Osborne, I'd like to see some way where we can sort of prevent it from happening in the first place, rather than reacting proactively, or, you know, reactively rather, to the problem.
You can't, we always put the analogy, you can't write someone a ticket because their car goes too hard. What we can do is, if it happens the first time, we always do the same thing, we write a violation. If it continues to happen, we bring them to court, and as the fines get greater, as it continues to happen. Rob McGreal, our village attorney, and the judge are quite hard on repeat offenders. I think we have a pretty good reputation of, we work with you as long as you work with us, and if you continue to do it, again, it's super difficult to get it before it happens, or as you said, at 2 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, the storefronts are in a tough position. They can't control if somebody vomits on the sidewalk, unfortunately. And if they come, and Kip Lou does an incredible job, I will say, of cleaning the dump, of cleaning the yes. We could try to take as Amy said, a proactive stance on talking to the rest of the store owners, the rest of the building owners, and kind of maybe even see if Kip Lou would be interested in just talking and then helping us out and telling them that the two of them do every morning. They're out there every morning picking up gum, picking up a cigarette.
Joe, maybe we can draft a letter from the building department or code enforcement to the store owners, reminding them of their responsibilities and the village code associated with it.
I'll write it up, I'll send it to Magrino, get the approval, CC you guys.
Yes. Okay, that's a good
start. Is the vomit coming, like, and that may be for the, I forgot your names and I apologize for that. Is it on certain nights of the week, like, are these likely people who go to the bars and then?
Listen, we can assume that that's what it is, and we understand that.
Because I feel like we can have enforcement of some sort.
But, you know, somebody's coming out and somebody gets sick, and that's what that is. You know, you see it, you understand it, it's not pleasing. When you come back on Tuesday, and the store owners haven't washed off.
That's right. And that's a separate story, and, you know, I agree with that.
Again, that is something that we as the code enforcement building department can handle. Again, same thing with Clark's officers, we're not everywhere. If you guys can help us out, we'll be more than happy to take care of it. And
the thing is, you can, and like you were saying, you can't be there at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're not going to see everything. Right. And that's why I'm thinking if this camera situation comes up, if we can get the cameras working, then you can find maybe where they're coming from.
If you're coming out at the time of that's where the chicken bones are, and then that's where you target it, versus, does everybody need to be scolded
I think we have to take the initial, I think we're going to take the initial steps here. We're going to take the proactive steps, draft up some letters from code enforcement to the merchants, remind them of their responsibilities, reach out to the Chamber of Commerce with a similar notice. We'll, that will go from your office, and then we'll create another message from the mayor's office. We have the patrol and we have code enforcement. And let's take those necessary steps and see what we can do.
And I explained to Erica too that Charles and myself and Keith have just finished the RFP for the camera system, which is under review. So that we're so close to this now.
Great.
I'll cite the codes of their responsibilities, what the codes are. I'll send it to Marino and to the mayor.
Yes. Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Come on up and state your name and address, please.
Hello, my name is Barry Dane, and I live at 31 Terrace Avenue in Suffern, and I'm also the president of the Suffern Little League, and like to I believe in August, Suffern Little League made submitted a proposal to the Board of Trustees for their review, and we just want to know if there's been any movement on that. I know Richard Ellsworth and the village attorney have been going back and forth, and I propose at this point that perhaps the village attorney and myself meet to discuss that, because it seems like we're getting close and there's just a few points that need to be hammered out. I would also ask if the Board of Trustees have any comments on the proposals that we submitted to the board.
Just on the review.
Is the proposal with respect to the work that was being proposed?
No, it was in respect to the agreement and the work that is being proposed, both.
Okay, so with respect to the agreement, Mr. Ellsworth and I have had several discussions since the last time you were here. We've exchanged emails with respect to some preliminary issues that need to be resolved between the parties prior to moving forward with an agreement. I'm waiting for a response from Mr. Ellsworth to the last email that I sent him, and then we'll be able, once we nail down those preliminary issues, we'll be able to move forward in terms of discussing the parameters of an agreement and what an agreement should look like. In terms of the proposal for the work, that's something that I can revisit with the village, and the village can either get back to you or I can get back to Mr. Ellsworth on that.
Okay. And just so the Board of Trustees is familiar, we all know that or the audience may not know that the Suffern Little League over the years have donated work and materials to the Village of Suffern in excess of $2 million, and that there has been consistent issue with the volunteers of Suffern Little League being able to access the fields and do work on the fields. I've recently learned that the village is considering some modification of the bathroom, which was discussed, I believe, at the last work group meeting up in the over at the complex. I've mentioned to the mayor and others that we are able to assist in the modification and renovation of the bathroom if needed. And once again, the village, the Suffern Little League is opening itself to the village to donate dollars, resources to modify those bathrooms. Just the concern is that the village seems to at times want to donate, attribute or put forth resources that cost our taxpayers dollars, as opposed to utilizing the volunteer efforts of the Suffern Little League to improve the ball fields and the bathroom itself now. So, okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dane.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak?
Hi, Mayor and Board. It wasn't my intention to speak tonight, but I'm having a hard time ignoring the image that I saw when I drove out of my parking lot this evening to come here. Corral 50.
I was just there on Saturday, it was fine.
It's not fine tonight.
I know you sent me an image, when did you send me the image? 50. Nice, email me an image of Corral 50. Again,
much worse tonight.
is it the same? Charles, can we speak to the points of Corral 50 up in Stonegate?
There's trash out there. There's probably about 3 bags of trash, one of which broke open, so there's trash laying on the ground. There's cardboard everywhere. There's a toilet laying there.
Now, is it there now?
When I left to come here, it was. Correct.
Joe, do we have anyone working in code tonight, this evening? Yes. And put them in notice of violation.
When did she say, is there a toilet there? That was not there on Saturday.
Okay. Do you think it's the same? I'm sorry.
Corral 50. Stonegate 1, Corral 50.
I mean, that condition was...
It's been wonderful.
It's been...
I was actually hoping to come here before the end of the year and thank the board for all of the... I mean, you guys were amazing. It's been great since, like, what, May?
Yeah.
And the photo I sent you was the second incident. The first was bottles that got picked up after a couple days. The second was the one that I had sent you, and tonight it's just a disgusting mess again.
And it's going to sound like a weird question. Does it seem like it's the same violator because with all the beer cans or whatever that...
I don't think so.
No, okay.
Yeah, I can't know that for sure.
Right.
I mean, my board put a camera there after the last go-around. Why aren't they seeing these things?
Did we mention it to the board? Again, to your board, the co-op board?
Did we mention?
Did you
No.
go? No, you didn't have a meeting yet.
No, literally, I just saw it on the way out here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, like we said, we're going to send, Joe's going to go out there this evening and put them back in violation. Thank you. That was an oh my God. Anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Hi, Carol.
Okay, Freddie's gone, so I guess I can't address him. But reference to Squires Gate and problem with the development of the parks, the trees, the flowers and that. As you know, I was probably the only survivor working the case when they were building it. The whole thing was not wanted. The builders went ahead anyway. We couldn't get the documentation, the trials, and the convictions till after the place was built. And we've suffered from it. Everybody has had to pay, not just people living there, but the residents. They've all been affected by it.
We all suffered the ills of the past from down in Squires Gate. We all understand that.
And one of the problems was the sewage and water system, the drainage, and I will give Charles a lot of credit because he came in with one heck of a headache when he took that position. And I think he needs special recognition for it because I don't think anybody else could have done as good a job. When we do whatever we do, when we start the discussion, we need to take into consideration not doing more harm. Whatever steps we take, we have the proper drainage, irrigation for whatever plants, surface trees go in. We had trees planted all around, but they didn't work out because they were supposed to be disease and infestation resistant, which they turned out not to be, and we lost them. You come up with a lot of good ideas. Perhaps we could work with Cornell Extension.
Oh, that's a good idea. Cornell Cooperative. I'll bring that to, I'm meeting with Fred tomorrow, so we'll speak about that.
Okay.
That's a great idea. Thank you, Carol.
All right, and the other thing is, do we still have vagrancy regulations on the books, or did they do away with them?
Vacancy is like where a lot of it's unconstitutional now, depends on what they were doing. If it's committed a crime, obviously it's a different scenario. But vacancy is not in the law that we can enforce.
Okay, that's what I was going to say, you're up against them.
We are. No doubt about it.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Carol. Are you handling this? Oh, anyone else?
Evening, Board, Mayor. Joe Hunt, Village of Suffern, CSEA President. In regards to my two good friends that walked their dogs in this puke incident 3 times, I'm under the 1030 bloodborne pathogens. It doesn't need to be noted. It needs to be rectified ASAP because fluids from a body and a body unknown is a dangerous fluid. Poor dogs can step in it and bring home tuberculosis or any other kind of bloodborne or fluid disease. And so can a human being. I was out there the first day that it was brought up, and I bleached and washed the sidewalk in the area down by Danina's. The second time, it was on Chestnut, and one of our other union members went out to clean it up. And the third time, it was by the T-shirt place. I can't remember the name. And one of my sweeper noticed a gentleman that was laying on the ground before the girls walked through it, and the police did get him. But again, my main concern is to the residents and them 2 ladies that monitor our streets in the early morning, that any bodily fluid needs to be cleaned up ASAP because it could spread not only germs but major diseases, and not only to human, but from human to dog and then back to human, because their dogs like to jump and get petted. So whatever's on their paws can be transferred to a body through our pores. So again, it is a major concern of mine that we react ASAP, and I'm not looking to put union members in overtime, but again, it's for the health and well-being of Suffern if we do react ASAP on something like that.
Joe, can you do us a favor too? Because this is the first that, I'm hearing about it. I've lived here for 32 years. I've never heard of this happening. But if it is, and you get asked to go out and clean something of that nature up, if you could just send a quick email and notify us so that we as a board can continue to pressure to try and do whatever is in our power to...
Well, there's a lot of untold stories that the CSEA members have to go through because the parking authority bushes do tell stories, and we clean them without complaining, considering that is a high pee, and then Haggerty Park. We trim the bushes all the way in the back because they were defecating in the back. Again, and I'm not trying to brag, I'm just bringing out, this is out in the public's eye because it's in a walking area. And a bush, you're not very rarely going to be noticing it unless you smell it. But again, when we do a bush cleaning or a trimming, or we do the parks and we find it, we do log it. It's just like sticks, needles, drugs, whatever we find in our fields, our dugouts, wherever we are on the streets. We found a needle by Amy's house on a turn. I got it logged and put away. So, things are happening, times are changing. But again, and as an outreach instructor and a safety instructor for ASHI and the Red Cross, it's my level of knowledge to bring it to your attention that these need to be reacted on, especially in a walking surface, that people are going to be between 4 and 7 walking to the trains or the buses, and they don't know what they're stepping in. They may not see it because they're on their cell phone. These 2 young ladies are walking and they're talking and they're loving in Suffern, and they catch me here and there doing the same thing, drinking a coffee and talking to them. I ask them questions, they ask me, but we're grateful to have them, you know, because they alert. I'm going to work and they alert me. I ask them to alert the police because I got to have a record of it, besides my daily report. But again, it's just a concern that you might have the wrong person, somebody in flip-flops, or women like to wear open-toe shoes. You know, your pores absorb, and it could be devastated, not that moment, but down the road.
Okay, all right, I think I got the gist of it. But, you know, share the stories, and then we can all work together to get it all corrected to the best that we can.
Thank you, CSC President.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom now.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Okay. Thank you for your comments. Next, Mr. Magrino.
Okay, good evening. We had, I believe we discussed this the last time, setting public hearing for 3 local laws. Amy really did the bulk of the heavy lifting on these, but the first one is with respect to modifying time limit parking areas and providing for handicap parking spaces in the central business district. The second one is with respect to loading zones in the central business district. That's something we actually have to work on a little bit. Not entirely clear what we're going for there, but we'll get to it if appropriate. So Amy and I will finish that up. And finally, local law with respect to idling. The county does have an idling law, but again, it would kind of be difficult to enforce here locally. I mean, it can be enforced, but if we have our own idling law, provided it doesn't interfere or overlap with theirs, we could seek to enforce that here. So
I think the mere presence of the sign for the idling law might be even helpful.
It's
you know, if you have it, if you have the signage indicating that no idling for an extended period of time, whatever it is, 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, I believe it's 3 minutes, yeah.
Right, 3 minutes will be helpful. The merchants seem to be taking note of deliveries and people just running their cars outside the businesses, and along with our outdoor tables and chairs, it's a little disruptive to people that are sitting outside.
Right, so this is just to set the public hearings for November 6th on those 3 meetings.
So I have the resolution authorizing a public hearing to be held on November 6th, 2019, to propose amending Chapter 254 Vehicle Traffic to amend time limit parking areas and to add additional handicap parking. November 6th at 7:05 in the Central Business District. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Hagen, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Passes. Another public hearing to be held on November 6, 2019 at 7:10 to propose amending Chapter 254 again, Vehicle and Traffic, to establish passenger loading zones in the Central Business District. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Hagen, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Alpert, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Next, the resolution authorizing a public hearing to be held November 6, 2019 at 7:15 to propose amending Chapter 254, Vehicle and Traffic, to establish restrictions on vehicles idling in the Central Business District. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Hagen, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Alpert, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Trustees, Trustee Alpert.
I have no particular additional things to discuss.
Okay, Trustee Hagen.
I assume we're working on the parking on Ramapo Avenue of the, that one.
Oh, that was a good point.
Is that in any resolution?
No.
Okay.
But we need to address that. We need to address parking on the What side is that? North side of Ramapo?
It will be addressed in this. For the
It is?
time limit parking, it will now be included.
Okay.
Ramapo Avenue.
Trustee Hertzman? Okay. Next, I have a resolution approving and ratifying the memorandum of agreement and the terms and conditions of the collective bargaining agreement with Teamsters Local 445. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Alpert, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Hertzman, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Next resolution, amending the 2019-2020 general fund budget to transfer funds from outside data processing and books and references to overtime for the village clerk's office. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Hagen, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Hertzman, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye, motion passes. Next resolution, authorizing Steiner Studios to film Blind Spot at 25 Old Mill Road on one or more days between October 21st through November 5th. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Hagen, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Alpert, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. This time I'd like to make a motion to go into an executive session to receive legal advice from counsel, subject to attorney-client privilege. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Hagen? Do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Alpert? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. We're not taking an action. Yeah. This time, the executive session, we expect no action to be taken at this time, but we will reconvene into the public meeting. So we motioned out of the executive session, and now we are re-entering into our regular meeting. Is there anything further to come before the board, or does any of the trustees have anything further to bring before us?
Nothing further.
Nothing further. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Trustee Alpert, seconded by?
Second.
That was a tie. Do-over? Trustee Hagen, Hertzman, sorry. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Once again, I would like to close this meeting in Officer Brian Mulkeen's, or Detective First Grade Officer Mulkeen's honor and sacrifice that he gave to protecting the people and lives of the residents of New York City, and his close tie here to the Village of Suffern. Keep that in mind, and thank you for your service, Detective. Thank you. Motion to close, excuse me. Motion to close.
Motion.
Trustee Alpert, second.
Second.
Trustee Hagen, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.